Lim's research into creativity is rooted in his own lifelong love of music.
For me, I've lived a life kind of obsessed with sound. And so when I was a child, I think before anything else grabbed me, music grabbed me. And then I've spent most of my teenage years trying to understand my life through music. And although I ultimately decided not to become a musician, my entire kind of professional career has really been about trying to get back to understanding the root and the source of music. And that's why I wound up studying not just the brain and creativity, but also the surgical anatomy of the ear.
And now I'm going to demo it for you.
Dr. Lim was curious about what was happening in the brain during musical improvisation performances. He used fMRI scans on musicians' brains as they played both memorized and improvised pieces.
I had always known that when you start improvising or spontaneously creating music, that something in you changes. It feels different. It's just a different mode of being, thinking, existing. And it seems, although it's under your control because you're doing it, you don't quite know how you're doing it because it's not really under your conscious control. And so that experience of feeling that way as a musician led me to ask this question. And every time I listen to some great musician, I always think, wow, how does that person do that? I'm always kind of like jaw dropping, like, how did they do that? And so when I started learning about the biology of the ear and the biology of the brain, I started thinking, well, maybe I don't have to just pose the question of how do they do that? Maybe I can try to answer it. And so I set out on kind of a long journey to try to answer these questions that to me were like desert island questions. Like they're the things that I wanted to know about if I had like nothing else to do and no constraints on my time. I would just think about how it's possible that we have music, hear music, make music. And so I started setting up a series of experiments and learning the techniques to do these experiments so that we could understand the neurobiology of music.